West Georgia here on the train. This is your host, Dr. Jerry. Now, I have a very, very special guest with me this morning. She's via phone, and she happens to be from the great state of Arkansas. And I'd like to welcome Ms. Amber Ward Hayes to WGMI's air officially for the first time. Good morning, dear.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excited to have you on. And the reason, neighbor, why I'm excited is because last week himself and I were sitting here. I'm over at the broadcast table, and himself was here at the broadcast chair, and we were going over music, and we just happened to come across something from the good folks at Chapel Valley, from their compilation disc, and there was this track 10, and himself was sitting here, and he's listening to this particular song that Ms. Hayes has recorded, and it really, I could tell something went through him as he was listening to the lyrics, to the message, neighbor. And it's not often that, I mean, look, we get a lot of music. I mean, that's what this is all about, to uplift him, Jesus. And, in this particular selection that Ms. Hayes had written and had sung, really, I know it touched himself, and I'm just watching him. I could tell, like he was there was something. There was nothing visible, but I could tell something was going on in his mind. And he said, and I said, do you think we need to get a hold of this young lady? He said, that would be a good idea. Now, he rarely speaks to folks. That's what I'm here for. I like to schmooze. But I'll tell you something. And then he gave her a blessing. He put her right into the system immediately. Well, I did all the work, but he did the scheduling and everything. Amber, welcome to WGMI.
Thank you.
Welcome to Georgia.
I am glad to be here.
Okay. It's not often that we get to break somebody, and that you have a project called Breakthrough. Now, tell us about this project Breakthrough, Amber. Tell us about you. Tell us about this project.
Well, Project Breakthrough, just a quick rundown. I've just been writing songs since I was a little girl, and went and sang a couple of places with my pastor and his wife and my husband, and just had so many people just kept saying, man, I wish I had that on CD. Man, I wish I had that on CD. So I just write and sing and, sing for friends and family and church. And so finally my pastor looked at me and he said, it's time for you to do something with this. And so, it just took a lot of grassroots effort and a lot of prayer and people coming up and supporting us, and started Project Breakthrough. Wrote this song called Breakthrough a couple of years ago, and everybody just fell in love with it. Then it's just been a crazy ride the last couple of years.
Now, when it came to writing the songs, which of the songs that you first started? You have 10 on this project, from this project called Breakthrough. Breakthrough was the first one?
No. These songs I've been writing probably consistently since I was about 16. I wrote songs when I was a little girl. Don't remember any of them or what they sounded like, but these are just songs that has come across like the past 10 years or so of my life, and just kind of wrote them as God inspired me, and just decided to put these on there because they were the ones that people most requested and things like that. So I think Baby Jesus is one that you had chosen. I think that's probably one of the oldest ones that I have on here. But breakthrough was just a few years ago, and I'm Not Going To was just here recently. They're all pretty recent within the last couple of years. And just with this being my first project, we just kind of did a compilation of the songs over the years.
What would you like to start out with for the neighbor to hear, dear?
Ooh, what would you like to start out with?
Lady's choice.
Hey, let's see. I would say let's do Is He Getting What He Paid For? Let's do that one.
And that's one of those that I chose. We're horse trading now, neighbor. And this
we're horse trading.
live on the air. Okay. We have Amber Hayes, neighbor. She's my guest this morning for this first part of What's Up in West Georgia here on the all-new WGMI AM 1440 The Train. And she's the author of this. She's singing on it, and it's from her project entitled Breakthrough. Is He Getting What He Paid For? This is a first, neighbor. Check this out.
Somewhere deep within, we feel just as lost.
Neighbor, something new from a project called Breakthrough by Amber Hayes. She's my guest right now on the phone from Arkansas, right here on the train. Amber Ward Hayes on WGMI from her Breakthrough project, and of which we're playing from it here at WGMI. I'm not going to, but we're not ready to get to that just yet. Amber,
Yes, sir.
what's it like having 3 young ones? I mean, they're not babies anymore, but what's it like? And writing and trying to, just get through the day, having 2 boys and a little girl.
Sometimes it's like a zoo, to be honest. We had a preacher come through and had mentioned about is Jesus getting what he paid for? Kind of the basics of that chorus in the song.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I feel like that sometimes. I'm sure everybody, you get up in the morning, you're running, trying to get the kids to school, trying to get to work, you just never ends, you never stop, and you just go throughout your day, and you're just doing. And then all of a sudden, the day's over, and you hadn't had time to pray, you hadn't had time to read your Bible, and you're like, oh, and you just kind of do this little quick, prayer before you go to sleep. And we take for granted what he did for us at the cross. And when this preacher, kind of said, you have an old car, you buy a car, and someone, sells, and you think you're getting a really good deal, and then you get it, and you're like, that's not really what I paid for. And he said, I wonder if Jesus feels like that when he thinks of us and how we're living. I wonder if Jesus thinks, I didn't get what I paid for. And he said, he didn't buy us with silver and gold. He bought us with his blood. And I was just thinking about my life and people's lives that I knew. And the second verse, talked about, how we work for God. And we're just working for him. And we work so hard sometimes for God that we don't have time for him because we're always working for him. And so it just kind of made me stop and look and assess my life and say, I really need to give God more what he paid for. And, having 3 kids and, full-time jobs and, life is just crazy sometimes. Sometimes you're just glad to get in bed on time.
Tell us about He Turned His Back on Me. Tell us about that, because I want to play that next.
Okay, He Turned His Back on Me. It's been about 7 or 8 years ago, and my pastor preached an Easter message about a friend of his that turned his back on him. I don't want to give away the song, but and he was talking about this friend turning his back on him and what it meant. And then when you look in your life and you have scars, and he said you can look at those scars and see that you didn't die from that battle, that you had victory. So when you see a scar, you have victory in that. And I never forgot that message. And anytime something would happen, I would think about that message and that friend that turned his back on him and those scars that we all have in our lives and how we can gain strength from that. And it was a couple of years later, and like I said, I just never forgot that that sermon. And I just sat down one day, and I just really, it just fell in place. Just the whole song, just one afternoon. And this song is probably one of my favorites because it's just a tried and true message that, there's victory in those scars.
Neighbor, from Amber Hayes, who you just heard, live here on WGMI, from her Breakthrough project. This is track 9. He Turned His Back on Me, right here on WGMI, AM 1440, The Train.
this story? Can anyone testify its truth? You may have had a friend, a loved one, who knew they'd always see you through. But it seemed like in your darkest hour, when you didn't know what to do, instead of
Neighbor, that's Amber Hayes. Amber Hayes. He turned his back on me from her project. Brand new, neighbor. It's called Breakthrough. Breakthrough. This project by Amber Hayes. And before we get to the title track, I know it's going to be really appropriate. I mean, when I say the title track, excuse me, the song that we're playing here at WGMI from the title, the project is Breakthrough. It's I'm Not Going To. But before we get to that in a moment, what I'd like Amber to do, since this is I think apropos, because there are when you put a project together, there's a whole cast of folks that are involved, and I think a thanks to those folks would be appropriate. Amber, would you kindly give us a good minute, and then we'll say goodbye with I'm Not Going To.
Okay.
Go ahead, dear.
All right. Well, I just want to thank Chapel Valley for stepping in and producing this. Shane Roark and Travis Roark. We recorded at Chapel Valley in Sharps Chapel, Tennessee. I say Shane and David Castell and Burton and Greg and Tony and Jonathan and Shane and Ruthie kind of helped do my background vocals and all that Richard's done on the marketing side, and my sister-in-law, Kelly Flatley, did my photography, and Kelly Hisson did my graphic design, and actually Matt Linton was the one that got me hooked up with Chapel Valley. So there's just been a lot of people on the Chapel Valley side that stepped up and did this, and you know, I have lots and lots of friends and family, and if I started mentioning all of them, I would leave somebody out. But, you know, I had so many people sacrifice and invest in my life and prayed for me. And, you know, without their support, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know, my dad and my mom just grew up in the church, working in the church, doing ministry even as a young girl, and just singing. And, you know, my dad always told me, he said, baby, you just close your eyes, throw your head back, and you sing from your gut. He said, because if it don't move you, it won't move nobody else. And that's just kind of how I write, too. I just, however the Lord moves on me at that moment. And, you know, my in-laws have helped, you know, growing up and helping in the music and things like that. So there's just so many people that I just can't even begin to thank them for all that they've done to support me throughout the years and back me up, and I just sometimes I'm speechless at all the love that's there.
And tell us about I'm Not Going To. So at least we can say that we got that. We got that first before anybody else did here in WGMI.
I'm not going to. If I can't tell you about 98% of what I was going through at the time, but I'm a very positive person on the norm. I'm usually got a song in my heart, singing. Even in the middle of the night, if I wake up, there's usually some song going through my brain. And my dad calls it God consciousness, that you be aware of God with you at all times you wake up. He's your friend, and he's someone that you can talk to and sing to and be there with you. And so I always had the song going through my brain or singing, and we had just been, life had seemed like it just trampled us. And I had, you know, you put that face on in front of everybody that you're smiling and everything's okay, but when nobody was looking, I spent days just crying. I cried all day, woke up crying, cried all day at work when nobody was looking, came home and cried when nobody was looking, cried myself to sleep every night. My husband didn't know anything. I was keeping it all to myself, and I was just crying, and I was just to that breaking point. and I remember where I was, and I realized I had not sang or hummed or anything in days and days. And I said, I don't feel like singing. And I was just talking to the Lord. I said, I don't feel like singing. I don't feel like people telling me it's going to be okay. I don't feel like listening to that. I don't feel like worshiping you. It's not that I hated him and I didn't want anything to do with him and I was backsliding. I was just weary. I was weary in my spirit, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I was just to my breaking point. And so that whole day, I was just pouring out to God, just everything that was going on. And then I started pep talking myself, like, well, you know what? The devil don't want me to sing, and I'm just going to start singing, and I'm just going to start worshiping. And and I just remembered that David encouraged himself in the Lord. And I just started pep talking myself. And by the end of the day, I'm not going to had fallen into place. And it's just raw emotion. It's just how I felt and how I just tried to pick myself back up from a low time, and I just took my way out of it. And there's just been so many people. We went and sang at one church, and I started singing this. And I just closed my eyes, and when I peeked open, the whole church was swarming the altars, and they were all crying, and people were praying. And a girl had tried to commit suicide and just got out of the hospital. Another girl came up to me afterwards, and she was fixing to commit suicide. And it has been crazy, the amount of people that this has touched already. It's just blown my mind. And I talked to a lady last night, and she said it's like a secret that you don't want nobody to know that that's how you feel. It's a secret. And, you're kind of like the Shunammite woman, and you're trying to just, it's well, everything's good, everything's fine. But in your heart and in your spirit, you're saying, I just don't feel like doing this anymore. I don't feel like doing it anymore. And it's just that raw emotion that seems just like it's just touching people across the board. And it's just amazing to see what God has done with it thus far.
From the project Breakthrough Neighbor, I'm Not Going To. Amber Hayes, here on WGMI.
Don't feel like singing. Don't feel like praying. Don't feel like raising my hands. I'm just saying. Don't feel like reading your word. Don't wanna hear no encouraging word. I don't feel like worshiping. I'm just telling you the truth. Don't feel like doing anything at all but giving up. But I'm not going to. You're gonna see me through. If it's just me and you, Lord, I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna quit. You're not done just yet. So I'm gonna sing, shout, praise, dance, raise my hands, 'cause the devil don't want me to. And even though I don't feel like doing anything but giving up, I'm not going to. I don't feel like singing. I don't feel like praying. I don't feel like raising my hands. I'm just saying. I don't
didn't touch you, I don't know what else will. I'm not going to. From Breakthrough, brand new, from my guest this morning, Amber Hayes, here on WGMI. Amber, we're going to wrap this up, and I'm telling you, dear, I mean, I know somebody listening has been touched. There is no doubt in my mind. Because if they put that wall up and they're going to continue to keep that wall up, well, all we can do is pray for them.
Right.
You know, because that's special. That song's going to take you places, dear. The Lord's got something in store for you, and I'm glad that you were able to join us here at WGMI, and that we were able to. It's a blessing to be able to play this particular selection of yours, and we will talk to you again in the future, if you'd like. If you'd like to say a prayer.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Lord, I pray that you would touch the people that are listening to WGMI. Lord, I pray that you would touch the workers that's there. This is a ministry. It's a battleground for you. Lord, I pray that you will go through the radio waves and touch all the people that are listening. Lord, there's a hungry and thirsty soul out there that's looking for you, that needs your touch, that needs to know that they can make it. And they can serve notice to the enemy that they're not going to quit. And Lord, I pray that you would just draw them to you, draw them closer, give them the strength to know that it's going to be okay, and that we have a reward waiting on us for those that endure to the end. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amber, we give you a hug, and we thank you. And I'm trying to keep my composure. Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate y'all.
I'll be in touch. God bless you.
Bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Neighbor, I thank you for listening to this first part of What's Up in West Georgia with my guest this morning, Amber Hayes, from Arkansas, from her Breakthrough Project. Stay tuned for part 2 of What's Up in West Georgia. Vicki Jackson up next.